Iko Nini. So Jirongo alidedi on Sato asubuhi and of course story yake bado ina make headlines, na jana ilikuwa siku interesting cause kuna vile akina Gumo waliitisha press conference cause Gumo saizi inasemekana ni the head of the funeral committee and they said some stuff that I found to be interesting. So nataka tucheki story alafu tubaki tumego back in time nicheki kuna majenzi walikuwa nauliza kwa nini ubudago anaitwa Jirongo. So tutakuwa tukigo back to that and also go back to story zake and how he played a role in making the shilling. He may end up ikiwa very shitty but wacha tusikize.
Driving back to Nairobi in Naivasha, driving back to Nairobi, that's a mystery that must be unraveled. And as Mheshimiwa Chairman says, it's only the government that can answer us those questions. We as the family, the community and the country at large, we want answers.
Sukuna shindo nataka answers gani? According to say Jirongo hakuwa anafaa kuwa anywhere near the Nakuru Nairobi highway ama hiyo Nakuru Naivasha highway. Wanasema that alikuwa ametoka Karen na alikuwa anaenda Gigiri. That's basically Nairobi. Najua kuna watu watasema maybe I don't know kaa Gigiri nachukuliwa kaa Kiambu County but mimi nachukua nikaa Nairobi. And somehow wakaenda up on the Nakuru whatever highway. Wacha tuendelee.
Thank you.
We had reports that he was traveling home. I don't know if that is the case, and
That is not
he
true.
was in company of who?
He was alone. He was not traveling home.
He was traveling from Karen to his house,
here,
his home.
His home here.
Not to home in Kakamega,
Yes. And
the home in Gigiri.
Again, take it again.
He was traveling from Karen. He was supposed to travel from Karen to his home in Gigiri. But now he was found dead on Naivasha, Nairobi Road. Traveling from Naivasha towards Nairobi. So we don't know. The only people who can find out is police. If they can check on the cameras, they should be able to tell. Because there are cameras. They should be able to tell how this car traveled all the way to that side and back.
Before the accident, did he raise any concerns about his life or security?
I think that's all.
Can we speak to the...
So umesikia story. So anasema that mse alikuwa na travel from Karen to Gigiri. So this would go back to the videos that came out on Saturday. So kulikuwa na ile video ile alikuwa na wase wake wakikunywa. Kuna watu walikuwa nasema that happened on Friday night. So remember, like even when I covered that I was like that's unconfirmed. So we don't actually know if that happened that night. So with that it's very tricky to actually know if there's any basis for this sort of argument that alikuwa Nairobi, alikuwa naenda Gigiri, because with that I think we'd have to be given a timeline, because Nairobi to Gigiri and that's a very short distance. Najua, like if you're driving especially gari yake and the way he used to be reckless on the road, I think that should take him like 30 minutes. Najua, on the higher side let's say 1 hour. So how many hours did that like take? But sasa leo niko nataka to focus on legacy yake and before tubongejwa legacy yake, acha tuangalia few of the tweets that Miguna posted on Saturday after death ya Cyrus Jirongo. So Miguna alikuwa ameandika the tragic death of former YK92 chief coordinator Cyrus Jirongo is a lesson to young thugs like Babu Patel. Kona chino Babu Patel ni nani? Hiyo ni Babu Owino. Ira yoga nasema that Babu ni Muhindi. Then ikiendelea Faruk Kibet, Kasmuel Makoure and others. Thuggery may put coins in your pocket and fleeting glamour in your miserable life, but in the end Obel Sibur is waiting for you in hell. I guess Obel Sibur ni the devil. And I'd be like, why Kasmuel Makoure, man? I don't think when we talk about the Babu Owinos and the Faruk Kibet, these are dollar millionaires, and they have coins in their pockets. I don't think Kasmuel has that level of coin. So that was one of the tweets ile Miguna alitweet. Alafu another tweet akatweet ile sasa nataka maybe to focus on. Ilikuwa pale nika the heroic Cyrus Kamau Githenji saved the lives of 65 passengers who could have perished had he not acted fast and decided to take the full impact of the recklessly driven Mercedes-Benz by the perennial criminal Cyrus Jirongo. Then akaendelea, but instead of commending Githinji for his gallantry. Some low IQ Kenyans are blaming him for the criminal Jirongo's death. They prefer looters and murderers to hardworking Kenyans like Githinji. Then akaendelea, get over it. Jirongo should have died in jail. Unfortunately, he spent more than 50 years causing havoc and misery for innocent Kenyans who had to endure the long-term effects of his plunder and organized criminal escapades. And with that in mind, so let's get into it. Umse hakuwa the person that people, najua ukisha dedi, people always want to look at the positive, and I always feel like history should judge you from all sides. They should judge you for the wrongs that you committed and the great things that you did. Ikam to Umse, nakunga majuzi nikibonga kama ilikuwa ni jana, nikibonga juu ya his orange Range Rover and seeing him driving it. Kulikuwa na story ilitokeaga, this I think ilitokea in 2015. Yes, this was in 2015. Ilikuwa ni police are searching for ex-Lugari MP Cyrus Jirongo, who was involved in a gun drama incident on Friday along Arboretum Road in Nairobi. Jirongo is accused of shooting a motorist who had tried to help him out of his stalled vehicle that was parked on the side of the road. According to the police, Jirongo shot 3 times at a car belonging to James Jenga, a Nairobi businessman who tried to help him out of his car. Jenga was driving home when he saw Jirongo's Range Rover on the side of the road with the engine still running, thinking that the vehicle was on fire. Then Kilimani boss Peter Katam said Jenga opened the door and found the driver asleep and made attempts to alert the guards, when suddenly Jirongo woke up and went for his gun and began shooting at him. Katam said police are in search for Jirongo over the incident. So this is the sort of character that he was. Najua, very trigger happy, very impunity driven, and yes. But now, if you're looking at Jirongo, I think this would be one of his quotes lesser crimes, because yes, kuna kuagana the nickname Jirongo, and back in the days, I think tukiwa watoi, a 500 shilling note was called Jirongo. Of course, hiyo jina with time ilibaki imefade into nini. So kona shindo ilikuwa ni jua nini, because Umsa ilikuwa involved kwa stories za YK92. And what ended up happening, they ended up like printing money to help Moi win the presidency. Najua. So in 1992, so Umsa ilikuwa student leader. Hiyo time inasemekana that mtu wake wa mkono ilikuwa ni Ruto. Nacheki. So during that time, a lot of money was printed. Kabaki mess up inflation ya Kenya. And yes, this is not someone that, sawa mtu akisha dead, you have to think of the positives, and of course atufai ku celebrate, so no one is celebrating that, but we still have to look at the damage that he caused. Another damage alikost ni kama ushai ulienda UON siku zetu. I don't know what happens nowadays. I don't know if other universities used to be the same, but back in the days, tukiwa University of Nairobi, what used to happen is we used to receive our help through Post Bank. But who is one of the people who played a role in turning Post Bank into something very useless? Ilikuwa Jirongo. So Daily Nation walikuwa na hii article. The article ilikuwa ni man who owes Kenya 40 billion shillings. Alafu walikuwa meka sura ya Jirongo. So what did they mean with that? This is what they meant. Umse alikuwa na company fulani alibaki form, and this company ended up borrowing money from Post Bank. And don't forget that this guy was this guy's friend, was Moi's friend. Moi was such a powerful character that I don't know, this is also a story that's never been substantiated, so I don't know, but there's always this legend that Moi was so powerful that his son alikuwa naenda kwa hizi banks za hapa Kenya, anasema anataka withdraw like 10 million shillings. Alafu anaulizwa, but hauna account na sisi. Alafu anaulizwa, nataka nipigie budangu, and they had to give him. I don't know how true that is, but that's a story that I've heard. So with that in mind, you can try and imagine how mse kama Jirongo alikuwa ana behave. So Jirongo inasemekanaga like hizo back in the days, what he ended up doing is he ended up asking for a loan from like company zake zili ask for a loan from Post Bank. So one of the companies inaitwa offshore trading company. Yes. So offshore trading companies in the early 1990s walienda po wamesecure a 1.1 billion loan against a 1,000 acre piece of land in Ruai. Cheki. So that was it. And then kuna another company of his still inaitwa Sololo Outlets. Hiyo ilibaki imechukua a 1.65 billion loan using a 2.5 acre land title in Mukuru kwa Ruben, Nairobi as security. So umesikia hiyo pesa yote. So ni 1.1 plus 1.65. Don't forget this is in the early 90s. So this comes to around 2.85 billion shillings in the early 90s. And this money was being borrowed from a very small bank called Post Bank. But then, since this guy was politically connected, what did he do? He decided he was not paying the loan. And what could Post Bank do? Post Bank could do nothing. But remember, Post Bank ilikuwa na collateral, and the collateral was the land. Ile ya Ruai, the 1,000 acres. What did they find out? They found out that that land actually belonged to the government. So it was public land. So there's nothing that they could do about it. And that's what used to happen. Like these guys, during hizo siku za Moi, if you are politically connected, you are basically above the law. So this guy borrows this money. So ukiona hii title where ama headline inasema that the man who owes Kenya 40 billion is because of how much the 2.75 ili accumulate over time. Because don't forget, this was like ukoma 1993. And by the time this article was coming out, let's say, this was 2022. This was like 29 years later. So in 29 years later, like ukiangalia stories za inflation, uangalia stories za nini yote, that's how much this guy owed. And umse inasemekana that this thing of his, it caused so much damage to the Kenyan economy that like tukiangalia stories za inflation, this caused so much damage to the Kenyan economy that right now that he's gone, I don't think, because he got away with it. It's just one of those things where when you think about it, like this is the reason why we can never be a first world country, because ukitry to imagine someone in quotes stole all this money and somehow was able to get away with it. And how was he able to get away with it? I think kuna buda fulani itwa Kimathi alibaki tweet Jay story how he was able to get away with it. So as we think about Saturday, and it came to a story of foul play, because maybe I didn't talk about it, but do I actually think that there was that level of foul play where alikuwa nafaa kwa Gigiri akajipata? I don't think that he was that in quotes important. Unajua, even after ibeyo doyote, it seems like he had very like bad money, whatever. So it come to a story msanito Alan Kimathi alinini to dodge his creditors, including public financial institution, demanding that he settles the over 40 billion he owed. This man filed for bankruptcy and once declared bankrupt went on to enjoy the remainder of the loot with a raised middle finger till his death. Afu kaendelea, now celebrate him. Try and imagine, Joe. This is an individual ends up stealing that amount of money from Kenya, and somehow we are here celebrating him, and we are here because the fact that he was Ruto's enemy, now all of a sudden that makes him a hero. I think that's the wrong way to look at stuff, najua. And pia kulikuwaga na hii nini yake, I don't know if I can get this story, but kulikuwaga na story yake ya Hazina Towers, because Hazina Towers was also something that was connected to him, na inasemekanaga that it was made from loot ya 2.65 billion. And other things you need to look at is, try and imagine we mwenyewe like having that amount of money, najua, and this is money that you can this is money that you don't even need to pay. Yes, come to stories za Hazina Towers inasemekaga Cyrus Jirongo's firm Sololo Outlets Limited was involved with Hazina Estate, not any Hazina Estate, yes, a housing project, yes. Alafu ni Sololo bought 23 acres in South B, intending to develop middle income housing. Nachukua, the project involved NSSF funding and post-bank credit financing, but later collapsed amid legal disputes. NSSF took over the estate, issued title deeds to individual homeowners and moved on. Nacheki. So this is the sort of character that this guy was. So vile yuko, like, does Kenya needs to celebrate such characters? I don't think we need to celebrate such characters. We need to remember them for who they were. And he was one of those people who, like, made Kenya into the shithole that it is right now. Najua, he's one of the people who made sure that this country will always be hapa dreaming of one day becoming the next Singapore and the next what and the next what. So pia history and any let's see what comes from the toxicology report, but what I expect it end up imehappen, itakuwa confirmed that alikuwa intoxicated, alafu of course alikuwa na drive on the wrong side of the road. But still tukiangalia accident yake, I think kuna someone that I saw who had written that we need to talk about the buses. Like, come to history ya buses za Kenya, I'll remember one thing. Kuna mse fulani Shepherd anaga story zake hapa. Mse tuko na wakna Geto Radio alikuwa anaitwa Mato. And this Mato guy was a Dutch guy. Na kuna siku alionaga tulikuwa na yeye kwa ndai tukacheki Prado, and the Prado had this iki metal chapa mbele cha Prado. I don't know what it's called. Not just Prados, even I've seen it put on a lot of SUVs Kenya. Kuna kugana iki chuma kikubwa kabisa kinekagwa hapa mbele. And I remember umse akiniambia that would never be allowed in Holland. Nikamuuliza why? Kaniambia because in case of an accident, the other person stands no chance. And I think that's the same thing. Nilibaki nimecheki mse ameandika juu ya hii story za mathri za Kenya. Where not mathri, basi za Kenya. Basi za Kenya zinatengeneza na materials that cars should not be in need with. Because kuna wase wengi sana ufikiria that gari zinakuwaga that level of chuma. Hazikuwagi that level of chuma. So ukienda hizi masafari rally and what, yes, hizo wekwaga that keyframe. But ukiona the way that Mercedes-Benz was destroyed, it just shows you how that bus had materials that it should not have. So was this guy on the wrong side of the road? Yes. Should he have maybe survived, considering umse anasema that ali stop gari, umse mwingine anasema that he stopped his car, the driver. So yes, maybe he should have survived. Would he have survived considering? Yes. So I think numsa into a turbo diesel. Aliandika one day we shall have a full conversation about Kenya bus designs and how any incident with a bus people die. And alafu kuna msali kwa meweka, and here's the bus, ni kama alipitiwa tu. So if you are to look at this whole conversation, because yes, you can see the bus itself and see ilikuwa ni prayer a day keeps the devil away. Okay, damn, that's interesting. Okay, so that was written on the bus. But if you are to go back, what will we see? Will we see Professor Alkomendika, the wreckage of Cyrus Jirongo's vehicle? Alafu nachikibilio gari kwa imeisha kabisa. Alafu kia master can here's the bus, ni kama alipitiwa juu. Alafu nani akaandika turbo diesel, one day we shall have a full conversation about Kenya's bus designs and how any incident with a bus people die. And that's not just these buses, the matatus pia zinakuwaga zimetumia materials that are not supposed to be used. Any car that's on the road inafaa kuwa imeputiwa design that it does not mean 100% sure death to anyone behind. Nacheki. But hizi za Kenya waga a lot of stuff is not followed. First of all, center of gravity kiziangaliaga, that's why they flip over. Hakuna mtu angaliaga center of gravity hizo vitu. Alafu apart from stories of center of gravity, of course they just put those two metal frames inside them, and it makes the whole thing to be super dangerous. Ikonini. So the festive season is here. Na LemFi wako na a very great offer kwako. Abaki umesign up ukitumia the promo code Ikonini, and on your first transaction ya $50 ukisend home unabaki umepata a $20 sign up reward. Najua $20 sign up reward on your first transaction of $50 only. Why? Because it's the festive season. Baki umechangamka, tumia promo code Ikonini, ingia LemFi. Why? Upate the most competitive exchange rates. Alafu pia inakuwaga ni chap like transactions ziko instant. Changamka haraka LemFi, international payments for everyone. Ikonini. But still, since umsali did in a accident, tubongejua December. Na December inasemekana that kumekuwa na a lot of road accidents. Najua like inasemekana so far watu wamededi in 2025 ni more than the people who died in 2024. So Citizen walienda up wamedo this report, and I would lie to you, man, it's scary, especially kama unaenda OCHA. Kile naweza kuambia ni just be careful, man, like and hope for the best, because it's not always up to you. Unaweza pata a hole flani kimetoka kwa lane yake amekuja kwa lane yako, and there's nothing you can do about it. But wacha tusikize.
At least 17 people have died in various road accidents in Kenya within the first 2 weeks of December, raising concerns over the spike in road accident fatalities during the festive season. According to the National Transport and Safety Authority, a majority of these accidents are caused by a non-compliance of traffic rules, ranging from speeding, driver fatigue, and drunk driving. NTSA Director of Road Safety, Andrew Kiplagat, has put all rogue road users on notice, warning of a serious crackdown on major highways nationwide. With that report is Safin Acheng Oma.
Wasiki hiyo story ya ati the NTSA director anasema this is caused by drunkenness, bragging. Afu they talk like they've given up, and when you think about it, this is how to look at it. Like we have to look at the major highways that most of these accidents happen on, na itakuwa ni hiyo Nakuru, Naivasha, I'd say Nairobi to Busia, hiyo. So that would cover everything, and then we'd look at Nairobi to Mombasa. And I feel like we should have enough cops that if we were to decide that tuna space the cops, that they are cops every 10 kilometers, ama they are cops every 20 kilometers. Yes, and the cops can be doing something where they monitor speeds za watu. So gari kipita ikikaa fani, wanapigia wale wengine wanaambia that hii gari kifika hapa inamaanisha in overspeed, because unapataga like Kenya speed limit inasemekanaga speed limit yetu ni 110. So anyone doing higher than that, which of course pia mimi sitakuwa hypocritical niseme I've never done that. I've done that but on a very clear road. Naonaga mafala wana do that on even roads zingine. Unapataga hapa Nairobi msana overspeed, like unashindwa where are you going, like unapata kwa estate keep say shindwa. So at some point these things have to stop. I think kuna msepia alikuwa amepost online na ameandika jia yellow line, and the fact that we do not respect the yellow line and what the yellow line actually stands for. And but wacha tuendelee.
December, the busiest month in the calendar, a month where families travel to their rural homes and various holiday destinations for the festive season. Unfortunately, some do not arrive alive. The huge volume of travels often lead to congested roads and fierce competition on the highways, increasing the risk of accidents. At least 17 people have died in various road accidents in Kenya within the first 2 weeks of December. The latest crash killed 8 people at Ekerenyo along Ikonge-Ekerenyo Road in Nyamira after an 11-seater matatu.
Poleni lazima ni pause hapa, but kumbuka ile gari ingine ilikuwa involved in an accident ilikuwa ni a prayer a day keeps the devil away. Of course hao wali survive. Alafu sasa kuna ingine ile, if you can see the picture, is literally a picture of white Jesus too. So white Jesus alikuwa nyuma hii gari, and somehow white Jesus hakuweza kusave watu walikuwa ndani ya hii gari jo. Damn. Poleni, I brought it up, but if you saw that picture and the first person that came to your mind is Jesus, it means there's a white Jesus. Waso wagina mimi sana, we don't know the race, but the fact that we allow this on our roads. But wacha tuendelee.
Matatu collided head-on with a truck. The accident happened after another grisly road accident along the busy Nairobi-Nakuru highway, which claimed the life of former Member of Parliament Cyrus Jirongo. On 7th of December 2025, another 7 people perished in a road crash involving a public service vehicle and a truck in Miasenyi, Taita Taveta. The National Transport and Safety Authority is warning of tougher times ahead.
We expect quite a lot of speeding because many drivers will be rushing to make or to complete more trips, and this becomes a major risk. There is issues of reckless driving, the issues of drunk driving, which present serious road safety risks.
Okay, Chiki vile anasema like kuna hizo issues zote and they present serious road risks. Ikikam to history ya cars over speeding, especially PSVs, I always say people have to make the unpopular decisions, and to me one of the unpopular decisions I'd make would be that gari yoyote ile nakam kutumika Kenya for like now coming going forward, any Nissan ile inaenda kutumia kwanza highways na inatumika hapa Kenya, lazima ikuwe na like some safety precautions, ikuwe na sensors, ikuwe na water and everything has to be working. Nacheki, so ile design hata ikistopishwa ule karao nafaa kusimama mbele yake waone kama hizo sensors zina sense there is someone in front, wanakitoa kichwa hivi because that would be the only way to deal na hii story. But as long as everyone is worried about votes, because people are dying, like our roads are so dangerous. I always tell the story of the fact that for most of us wale tunatoka Western Kenya, I don't know these other sides za Kenya zinakuagaje, but for most of us ukitoka Ocha jo hizi toka bila kuombewa, inagonga Yesu Kristo. Sasa huyo anaenda kuingia kwa barabara imetengenezwa na mikono ya binadamu, alafu pia gari imetengenezwa na mikono ya binadamu, lakini mikono yako Yesu.
NTSA is also warning operators against increasing the number of trips and overworking drivers to maximize profits at the expense of the safety of passengers.
The law talks of 8 hours maximum, so no driver should drive beyond 8 hours.
Data from NTSA shows that 4,458 people had died in road accidents as at December 2nd, 2025, surpassing the full year total of 4,311 from 2024.
So inakuonyesha vile this year imekuwa ni a very rough year ikikam to accidents, and of course last year pia people were dying, so this is such a recurring problem that we never get to the bottom of, and we never get to the bottom of because there are no enough consequences. Hakunaga consequences za mse switch lanes, like if someone switches lanes na kuja kwa lane yako na all dead na yeye survive, that person is not going to jail, and that's where the problem is. Najua the fact that there are never any repercussions. So mse kama huyu Pastor Ng'ang'a, ukicheki story yake, Pastor Ng'ang'a si pia alikuwa involved in some death, was it of boda riders? I don't remember what his was. I think pia Jaguar pia alikuwa involved in accident kama hiyo, and they live unscathed. There is no financial repercussion, there is no criminal repercussions, and with such it makes our roads more dangerous. Does it mean that like accidents happen? Najua no one is going to dispute that accidents happen, but mostly hapa Kenya most accidents are very avoidable. Wase overtake mpaka kwa kona, nacheki, like wase overtake mpaka unashindagwa like niaje. Alafu kitu moja nishai notice, and if you've driven long distance utanotice hiyo kitu, utaona msame kupita riskily kabisa, alafu una drive kitu kama 5 kilometers unaenda unapata hiyo ng'ombe iko hapo mbele kinunua nyanya, ikifanya kitu kingine ya kipumbavu, ama unaipata iko kwa jam, na you know, like uli risk life yetu. Why? What were you trying to achieve? Acheki, so kuna hiyo shida. Alafu tukibonga, so tuliona a prayer day keeps the devil away, accident. Tuko na white Jesus kwa kona, accident. Cha tuone kama hii ingine, tuone kama easy kutafuta solution kwa juu saidia.
Among the deadliest accidents in the last quarter of 2025 include the crash.
Acheki imeandikwa in God we trust, huh? Oh, in God we trust, in God we trust. Gari iko upside down jo. Kama God alikuwa off, ama nini ili happen jo? Yeah, God alikuwa off. Okay, wacha tuendelee.
Among the deadliest accidents in the last quarter of 2025 include the crash that claimed 26 lives at the Coptic Black Spot in Kisumu. 23rd of August, 8 people were killed after a lorry and a 14-seater matatu collided head-on at the Korompoi area along the Namanga-Kitengela Road in Kajiado County.
Hii weekend unakumbuka, hapa IKONINI I covered it. It was that weekend that I think around 60 people died from road accidents. And we had 0 statements from Ruto. And I remember talking about that and saying that the fact that to respect human life, hivyo huwezi pata in any other country watu kama wamededi and there is no word from the president. That's the time for the president to come out. Na watu watasema that Uhuru never did that, Kibaki never did that. At some point a president has to come out and be like, you know what, enough is enough and we need to take more precaution. So there are those times zile unaweza ona msee akiwa kwa like a clean highway, sindio? Kwa clean highway, speed limit ni 110, amehit 120, anaweza patiwa speeding ticket. But a situation whereby msee amekuja kwa lane, imebidi watu wajisave, kunafaa kuwa na a way where we can report that, and then the mkara wale wako huko mbele wanabaki wamestopisha huo msee, alafu inaangaliwa like hii time ilisemekana hivi, was he doing that, so that we stop this nonsense. Unachiki mafala ziko like, nilitoka Nairobi saa 5 nimefika Kisumu by saa 9, like 4 hours. That's ridiculous. For you to do that, you'd have to be doing 150 per hour and risking other people's lives, because don't forget, at some point upata traffic will slow down, at some point ingine upata nini will slow down. It's not acceptable.
On 28th of September 2025, 16 people were killed in an accident in Kikopey along the Nakuru-Nairobi highway, a day after another major accident near Kimende involving an ambulance, killing all 6 people on board.
Cheki joy yoja. That's one weekend, 27th and 28th. Damn, we have an accident problem. And it's big, and it's not just caused by public transport, it's also caused by individuals. Hiyo ya Jirongo ingekuwa ni a normal car, like a normal bus ile imeimportiwa kutoka kwa majuu, watu wangededi kabisa, because hiyo bus of course inge fault kabisa. But hapa sasa ni where now Kenya's rogue engineering works out.
And another 6 died after a lorry rammed a 14-seater public service vehicle that was at Ngoluni Stage along the Itangini Tower Road in Makueni County.
We urge our drivers that you bear the greatest responsibility of ensuring that we are safe, because these are the people with the vehicles out there in the roads.
NTSA, in collaboration with the traffic police, have intensified a crackdown on major highways across the country to ensure safety of all road users during the festive season.
Some of the things that we check is issues of speed, issues of driving under the influence, issues of roadworthiness of the vehicle, issues of overloading.
NTSA had last week suspended the licenses of 62 drivers from 6 public transport companies following a compliance review that uncovered multiple safety breaches. The authorities further urging members of the public to call out rogue road users and report them to the relevant authorities for action.
Yes. So, of course, calling out rogue road users na kuwaganyi wenyewe mkiwa kwa basi. I think kulikuwa na hii fascination alikuwa ina happen even during like my parents' time, where people would be very happy with a driver that drives very fast, so ndio watu wabaki wamefika. And one thing that I've come to realize about traveling is I'm the sort of person who believes that the day you're traveling should be the day you're traveling. Does that make sense? That means haufai kuwa umeka timeline. Haifai kuwa nataka kufika huko by saa 9. Because with that, you'll start doing things you're not supposed to do. But kaya hiyo kwa ni siku tu ya kutravel, let it be siku ya kutravel. Let it take all the time that it needs to take. Majuzi nakumbuka tulikuwa tumeenda Masai za Mombasa, and we came back by road, and tulitoka huko saa 3, tuko nafika Nairobi around saa 12. So that's 9 hours. Distance here 480 kilometers. That means that on average, if you are to check how to travel, you'd say that on average to do maybe 54 kilometers an hour. Nachiki, that's the normal Kenyan, that's super slow. Najua, because it's not even 54, it would be like 53.33. Najua, like, but umefika safe. Does this mean that all that time to travel slow? No, when the road was clear, tukipata pali ziko hakuna overspeed kutry like kupita wase. We do stop a few places. To stop Voi for a few minutes na tukastop wapi tena, I think ni Mtitandei for some other few minutes. So let's say even if we were to take out an hour from that, what would happen is we'd end up with 8 hours, and that would mean 60 kilometers per hour, which is reasonable. But if you want to do that distance in a very short time, chikige zile magari unaonaga hizo ziko na hizo KD plates zinatoka huko zimecrash, watu wamededi hapo ndani. And yeah, so that's it. So we have an accident problem, and right now in December, those accidents are going to be many, and what we can do is sisi wenyewe on a personal level, let's take precaution. So if you're the sort of person who believes in speeding, if you think you're really good, don't speed on our roads, public roads. Register uende safari rally and do all the speeds you need to do, but don't put other people's lives at risk because you love speed. Kwenda huko, najua it's not something mi napenda speed, mi napenda. Yes, unaweza kuwa unapenda speed, but you can't drive the car hivyo. You are not everyone is that driver. Wasi wengi ufikiriaga but just cause unaweza kaa kwa gari alafu kanyage ifike 200 kilometers per hour, and there's another person who can never do that. They'll never reach 200,000, yani 200 kilometers per hour. You assume that because one is afika 200, afika 260, you're a better driver than this other person. No. The difference is this guy knows that in the case of an emergency, he knows his instincts would not allow him to come to a standstill without either crashing the car, killing people, and doing all that nonsense. That's the reason why they never do that. Vile tulikuwa hapa na Sadiq Shaban, alikuwa nasema yeye mwenyewe trained rally driver, trained rally navigator. Nasema kwa highways, he does nothing like that. Because anajua, first of all, ile gari anatumia, it's not that strong. It's not designed for that sort of impact. Alafu second, anajua, you should never put people's lives at risk. So I always see all this nonsense. Like, I always see them. Like, hawezi enda kwanza hii Mombasa Road. Hawezi enda Mombasa Road for long without seeing someone doing some bullshit. Hakuko sagi, msana do kitu ingine unashindwa like, damn, what are you trying to prove? So, let's stay safe, man. And, yeah. So, niambie, come to legacy ya Ubuda anaitwa Jirongo. Do you think we are being harsh on him? Do you think yeye kutoka na hiyo pesa yote na Postbank collapse was a necessary evil, and his personal interests were better than the country? Do you think sekama ni player hater? Najua baki umejiachilia hapo kwa comments. So Iko Nini.